Hello again. Now, I'm not sure if I've already said that in any of my previous commentary videos, but I want my channel to be about horror in general. That means games, movies, books, whatever horror catches my attention at the time. So for this video, I'm actually doing a horror movie, but well, oh well, hold your horses, this isn't gonna be just a horror movie. It's a subgenre called the extreme horror, and if you are a cultured horror fan, like I am, you've probably seen a bunch of these videos on YouTube talking about extremely disturbing games, movies, books, and so on. So if you're familiar with any of these classics like Solo, Grotesque, or Tetsuo the Iron Man, then this will be kinda close to home. However, what's so special about this movie in particular is that through the things I will be talking about throughout this video, this movie landed as the absolute toughest watch for me, both mentally and physically. I don't think I've ever cringed this hard watching an extreme horror movie before. This one is truly painful. Now, some important disclaimers before we begin. In this movie, there will be the following highly unnerving subjects. So if that's not something you can handle, move away now. However, a second, more important warning, and now, mind you, I am not kidding with you at all. Please listen to me closely. If you are a parent, or God forbid, in our case, a fresh parent, close the video right now. Do not watch or listen any further. Trust me, you will not want to hear my breakdown of this movie if you are a parent. You just won't. So, yeah. Now with that out of the way, I will break down the Spanish extreme horror dark comedy film Coffee Table. And I will break it down in all the morbid detail because I hate when YouTubers leave those to keep their monetization safe. I don't really care, I just really want to talk about this movie because it hit me that hard, and keep in mind, I am not even a parent. I had to make this breakdown video about it to even recollect my mind on this. Because let me tell you why I'm talking about this movie specifically is because it isn't just totally horrific, it is also actually a brilliant movie. As hard of a watch as it is actually really well made, and that's what prompted me to show you all about it. So with all of the warnings and intros wrapped up, I will summarize the entire plot of the movie. So obviously, spoiler warning, and I will go into gruesome detail on the most horrific scenes from this terrifying masterpiece, Coffee Table. Coffee Table is a horror movie about a couple that were just blessed with their first newborn baby boy. They named him Cayetano, and in the opening scene they already have a fight about the name, because apparently the husband, his name is Jesus, couldn't even pick the boy's name, and he hates the name Cayetano, but he does love his son even despite all of this. In the opening scene, the couple visits a furniture shop. They are putting together a new house and they need to paint the walls and pick the furniture, amongst other things. They stop at this peculiar coffee table. It's a table where two maidens hold a big glass panel, and the maidens are made of fake gold. It's really a whatever table in my opinion, wouldn't pick it myself, but Jesus is really into it. The salesman also does a very good job at pressuring the couple into buying it, saying how great it is, how the glass pane is unbreakable and so on. Jesus' wife, Maria, is really against this. They have a big argument over it in front of the salesman. But this isn't about the coffee table itself. This is about the ego. Jesus didn't get to choose his son's name, didn't get to choose the color of the walls, he didn't get to choose anything, so now he wants to at least choose the table for their lounge room. So after all the arguing and salesman using his high pressure tactics, the husband decides to buy the table, of course. The couple arrives home and Jesus starts assembling the table. Everything goes fine, but towards the end he needs to assemble the glass pane and connect it to the golden maidens lifting it. But there's a screw missing. So he puts the glass pane away for now, leaning it on the maidens in the center of the lounge. He calls the salesman from the morning and tells him that there's a screw missing, and that the situation is already quite stressful and he wants the screw ASAP so he can be done with the table. After some back and forth, the salesman agrees and tells him he will bring in the screw later today. We also meet the couple's neighbor, Ruth, and her mother. Now, Ruth is a really weird character. She is only 13, but apparently there was a little romantic moment between her and Jesus in an elevator, and I don't really want to go into details with this, but just know that it's just Ruth being very delusional. Jesus didn't do anything wrong. He helped her with a school project about writing poems, she wanted romantic ones, so Jesus sent her some over the phone, and now she thinks that Jesus is really into her. But it's all just a big misunderstanding. and that's kinda all important info on her for now. Later, there's a discussion with Maria about the visit they'll be having today. Jesus' older brother is apparently also a bit of a weirdo, because he's like 30 or something, yet he's dating his sister-in-law who's just 18, so yeah, there's that going on, but okay, so what's important is that they will be having dinner today, all together, celebrating the new baby son of Jesus. There will be a couple of exchanges about the name Cayetano still being an ugly name. Maria gets upset and decides to get some peace of mind by going shopping alone. Now, this is not ordinary, because normally she spends all her time with the baby. This is the first time that she leaves their son and Jesus alone. But she insists that she's going by herself to get some food for the dinner and also perhaps some wine to calm the nerves. She leaves. Now buckle up, here comes the most screwed up scene of the movie and like the main plot point, and it is not going to get better from now on, so yeah. So Jesus finally spends some time alone with his son, and even if he hates the name his wife chose for him, he still loves him dearly. He starts crying loudly after Maria left, so he tries to comfort him. He grabs the baby and starts singing for him and tries his best to soothe the baby. He starts to walk across the room, and after a while he gets to the table, now asking his son if he likes Daddy's new table. Now, this is thankfully off screen in the actual movie, but you do get to see the aftermath in gruesome detail, but it is unclear exactly how it happened, and now I'm not sure how I'll describe this safely, but I will try. As Jesus was bringing the baby close to the new coffee table, he must have slipped, and the glass pane was somehow in the way, and Jesus probably fell on it. And in a gruesome accident, the baby made contact with the glass and made departure with an important part of the body that houses the brain, totally breaking the glass and injuring Jesus' hand. Forgive me if I sound a bit blunt, but I am trying to be as objective as possible with this, because this is just fucked. A horrifying aftermath ensues. The scene is just... yeah, Jesus tries to pick up the pieces, there's blood everywhere, big glass shards in his hand as well, but most horrifyingly of all, the important thing that the baby made departure with, let's just refer to it as a head from now on, rolled under the armchair next to the table. There is so much blood that is just pure horror. Jesus is in shock and completely stunned. But suddenly he gets a call from Maria. Maria met one of her friends at the store, and she wanted to call Jesus and celebrate his new fatherly responsibilities, but understandably Jesus doesn't answer. They hang up on the phone, Maria clearly upset about this as well, and Jesus still tries to put together what the hell even happened right now. Maria and her friend, who has a daughter now, talk about what it is to be a mother and how it completely changes you, and we as the viewers already know how cringy this is, and let me tell you, the movie has a lot of these exchanges that, like, under normal circumstances, would be totally fine and fun, but given the secret context we as the viewers have, are just insanely psychologically taxing. Back to Jesus. After contemplating for a long while, he realizes that the head rolled under the armchair, but he doesn't have the guts to even look at it. He picks up the rest of his son and wraps him in blankets, putting him back to his bed in their bedroom. Disturbingly, he also even changes his diaper after that. Now we get to see Jesus' next course of action. He decides he will cover all of this up. But there's no cleaning products in his house yet, so... well, he decides to go to Ruth and her mother. Jesus is still covered in a lot of blood, mind you, but he covers it up by saying he's just painting his son's room, and... yeah, it is as terrible as it sounds. He straight up says that he's painting his son's room red. Yeah, whatever. He is sweating and acting a bit strangely, but Ruth and her mom suspect nothing and just hand him the cleaning products. When going back to his apartment, funnily enough he meets with the salesman who sold him the coffee table, and he's got back with the requested missing screw. And after a really awkward and cringeworthy exchange about the salesman wanting to be friends with him, and saying that he doesn't have many friends, Jesus manages to hold it together and just shuts the door on him. Jesus goes back to the lounge and cleans everything up, gets rid of the supposedly unbreakable glass pane, and tries to scrub off all of the blood. But the main puddle on the carpet is just too much, and he didn't manage to get rid of it. He also didn't have the guts to retrieve the head, so it is just laying there under the armchair for now. Jesus takes a shower and changes his clothes, and makes preparations for his ultimate lie. Maria comes back home, and even though Jesus really hesitates to even let her in, after a while he manages to do so, and tells her that their son was really hard to put to sleep, but after much struggle he managed to do so, and instructs her to not enter their bedroom because their son is in deep sleep now, and he really doesn't want her to wake him up this quickly. Maria remarks the bandage on Jesus' bloody hand, and Jesus said he cut himself because the unbreakable glass pane for the table broke. So he has a cover-up for both his paleness and the massive bloodstain on the carpet. In one of the most cringe-worthy scenes of the movie, Maria actually laughs maniacally at him, saying that all of this is simply just karma. She obviously doesn't know what really happened, so this is already a horribly fucked up start to an insane downward spiral of psychological torture for Jesus. They make preparations for the family dinner. Maria laughs at him some more for picking a horrible coffee table that he broke the very first day, and Jesus successfully manages to make sure Maria never enters the bedroom. Jesus assures her that everything is fine, to let the baby sleep for at least 2 more hours, and that he loves her deeply. Ruth also quickly visits the house and tells Jesus that he needs to finally admit that he loves her, not Maria, and that he wants to run off with her and start anew, and threatens him that if he doesn't tell Maria himself, that she will tell her later in the day after she goes walk her dog. Do keep that in mind, as this will be very important later. After all of that, finally, his older brother with his very much younger girlfriend walk in and they begin the tour of the house. Now, here is where there are many fucked up remarks that sound horrible in the context of this movie. No one in the house except Jesus knows what's really happened, and they show them the baby's room, talk about how beautiful it is, how it's the room that Jesus always wanted as a kid, but I'll skip over all of these and move to the most gut-wrenching scene with the same theme, the family dinner. So after the tour, and Jesus still doing a good job at covering up what happened, he, his wife, his brother, and his girlfriend finally join at the table. Together, they have an omelette and talk about, well, family stuff. They obviously all notice that Jesus acts strange and that he looks pale and sweaty. They all still think it's because of the table, and I mean, well, it kinda is, but they don't know the entire truth. They talk about who they love the most. His brother's girlfriend puts up an entire list of her family members before him and jokingly says that he's actually like number 13 on her love list. They laugh about it though, and then ask Maria about her love list. She says that she obviously loves Jesus a lot, but that her son is everything to her, and would definitely put him as number 1 on her list. She adds that she does love her grandma who passed away and would most definitely put her at least top 5. And then they ask Jesus, and his brother very deliberately says to include both the alive and dead in his love list. Which was already extremely cringy to sit through, watching how Jesus is obviously in so much emotional pain, it transfers to his physical state too. But everything climaxes when his brother reveals a big secret. He's getting a baby too! A baby girl no less. And this prompts Jesus to burst out, and he angrily tells his brother that this is totally wrong, that he will ruin his girl's life, she's only 18, and he doesn't condone this at all. Then he leaves the table and says he needs to go to the toilet. Now in a shocking final act of the movie, Jesus actually records a message on his phone in the bathroom. It is for Maria, and he states that he will unalive himself using the balcony and gravity, because he can't bear this anymore, and he definitely can't even see Maria's reaction to all of this, but here's the thing, his brother catches him recording this message. So Jesus has no options but to lead him into the bedroom and show him what happened. I must say though, his brother actually takes it very well. The situation is hell on earth, but he tries to keep a calm head, reassuring Jesus to not do any of the nonsense he has talked about in the message, and that he will tell Maria instead of him, but insisting that no matter what, she must not see the baby in the bedroom. Maria tries to enter the bedroom and check on them and the baby, but the older brother says they need some brotherly time, and that they need 10 more minutes. Maria agrees. They contemplate some more, and decide to go with the plan. Jesus will just follow his brother's lead, and he will explain everything to Maria. However, one more gut punch enters the house. Someone's ringing, and it's Ruth, the 13-year-old girl. Maria opens the door and tells Ruth to go away, that it is really not a good day today. But Ruth insists that she needs to tell them something very important. Maria shuts the door on her, but she blocks it with her shoe, showing to Maria that this is indeed very serious. She tells her that Jesus kissed her in the elevator the other day. Maria is totally shocked by this and lets Ruth inside the house. They all meet in the lounge with the coffee table. Maria, Ruth, Jesus, his older brother, and his girlfriend. And Maria is in no disbelief at all, as she already sees the weird kinks Jesus' older brother has, and that they might have transferred to him too. But we as viewers already know that there's a lot more pressing matter at hand. But remember, when I said Ruth was walking her dog before she entered the house, so her dog is here in the lounge with her, and as they are having this stressful argument over Ruth, her dog meanwhile sniffs under the armchair, where the hat still lays hidden. Now, I won't describe much of the final scene here, as there's really nothing to describe really. It is all just audiovisual psychological hell that you should rather just watch. Jesus' brother tries to quickly retrieve the hat and hide it from Maria, insisting that she must not see this, but she can put the puzzle pieces together. The dog's mouth is covered in blood as it sniffed the hat, and Maria realized what has really happened with the coffee table. After a long, gut-wrenching moment of tension, she is the one who uses the balcony and gravity together, and Jesus quickly follows suit. This all also happens off-screen. In the ending scene, cops enter the apartment building, and one of the officers describes to the commanding officer what the hell just happened here, and even the cops cannot believe it. The couple used the balcony, Ruth suffered an anxiety attack, the brother is in shock, and so is his girlfriend. I'll try to play out the final bit of the movie, hopefully it will not block my video, because, I mean, you should rather just see this for yourself.
Él es el hermano del fallecido. Hemos intentado hablar, pero está en shock, que solo repite una frase sin sentido.
¿Una frase? ¿Qué frase?
La mesita del comedor.
And that's the end of Coffee Table. I don't really want this to be a review per se, but in a bit of a reflection, I must say this is a really well-made movie. It is totally painful to watch, like, don't get me wrong, the tension of the movie pretty much never lets go, and I cannot even begin to imagine what this movie must be like for a parent. I saw some of the reviews on this movie, and the people who mentioned that they are parents as well said that they simply couldn't even finish watching this movie, and I entirely get it. I've seen a lot of fucked up stuff on the internet and in various books and movies, but this Coffee Table, even though it isn't actually like gross in the sense of witnessing some freaky depravity, it manages to torture the viewer psychologically throughout, without even showing that much at all, and that's real horror right there. So overall, as much as I would say do not watch this because it is torture, I do say that it is really a well-made film with wonderful music, great acting, and scenes of total torment. And I can definitely imagine that something just like this happened to someone somewhere, and it makes this movie all the more fucked up and relatable for it. Even on the surface level, just the situation of trying to cover up a fucked up lie, it can be relatable to many of you watching and listening right now. There's no extreme horror that would be ridiculous or goofy in this movie, or like overly gory, no. This is all just real life doing its thing. Thank you for watching, and make sure to stay safe out there.